Welcome to the Fantasy Football Preview. Lauren, Shehadi, Jamey Eisenberg, and Jamey. We're getting started with quarterbacks. Season is fast approaching. A lot of shakeups under center. Matt Ryan, a rookie in ATL. Also, Rex Grossman out, Kyle Orton in. A lot of shakeups. What's going on, and what does it mean for fantasy owners?
Well, it means that you're not drafting those two guys because Matt Ryan and Kyle Orton are not exactly fantasy options for you, although Matt Ryan maybe in rookie-only drafts will be worth taking. But guys like Brett Favre is now starting for the Jets. Chad Pennington starting for Miami. Kurt Warner, we assume, is starting for the Arizona Cardinals, which might not be decided until the first game of the season. But these are guys now, Lauren, that are worth drafting and has really sort of changed the landscape of the quarterback position because they've increased the amount of quarterbacks you could take and also given you some additional backups.
Here's a serious question. What does it mean for quarterback rankings?
We weren't serious before?
No.
Okay.
Just now.
When you talk about Brett Favre, he becomes a number one fantasy quarterback. He was tremendous for Green Bay in 2007. We all know what happened since then, but he comes to the Jets with tremendous receivers, and I think he'll have the opportunity to still be on the level that he was a year ago, although his numbers will take a little bit of a hit. You're not going to get the type of production he had with Greg Jennings and Donald Driver, but Lavernius Coles, Jericho Cotchery, Dustin Keller, guys we like a lot, and they should help Favre continue to be successful.
All right, what about like Favre, guys at the top of the heat, Brady, Manning, those injuries? What are the Colts without Manning, and where do we go from there?
Well, I think the good thing is, as we know coming into the season, both these guys are going to be fine. Brady's going to get on the field at some point and deal with his foot injury. Peyton Manning's going to be activated and deal with his knee injury. But there are some concerns with Carson Palmer and Derek Anderson, guys that are probably in the top 6, we'll say, along with guys like Romo and Breeze. When you look at Palmer, the injuries to Chad Johnson and TJ Houshmandzadeh throughout the preseason, Johnson with the shoulder injury, Houshmandzadeh with the hamstring, Carson Palmer broke his nose. That's never a good thing. So, I think you'll see Palmer maybe take a little bit of a hit. They're starting to look very similar, the Bengals are, to last year's version of the Rams, and that's a bad thing. A lot of offensive talent, but a lot of injuries going along with it. And then Anderson with the concussion, he's got some concerns as well. Braylon Edwards with his foot, Kellen Winslow with his knee. So we'll see how he's going to do, but I still think both those guys are worth drafting as number one options.
Dave Richard told me not to draft Hoosh, and I did not listen, and now I am feeling it in a big way. All right, moving on, sleepers. We have Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, 11 of 21 for 143 yards. He's looking good.
He is looking good. The best thing about him is talking about quarterbacks with concerns. He was one that we were a little bit worried about coming into the year because of his torn ACL, but he's been great so far in the preseason. Antonio Gates is getting back on the field. LaDainian Tomlinson is healthy. Chris Chambers a full offseason. Vincent Jackson is healthy finally after dealing with some hamstring problems of his own. So Rivers is a great sleeper, a guy you target as a number 2 fantasy option, but somebody you could draft as a starter because he has that much potential and that much talent around him.
What about guys that aren't looking so good? Matt Hasselbeck, Mark Bulger. He's had a tough preseason. He played well against Baltimore, though, Jamey, and they have a tough defense.
They do, and you'll see Mark Bulger is going to be one of those hit-or-miss guys, a guy that you can draft probably toward the late first grouping of guys, top 12 guys. But I'm just a little bit concerned because the offensive line not so good in St. Louis anymore. Torrey Holt getting up in age. There's really no number 2 receiver for the Rams. And then, as we know, Steven Jackson hasn't been there for the full offseason so far, and that could lead to some problems with the offense. Plus, it's a new system for him. So Bulger's still worth drafting as number 1, but make sure you take a guy like Rivers or Matt Schaub, one of those good backups, because it could help you down the stretch.
Their line better get to work. I have Steven Jackson. He better get to work.
You enjoying the mock draft so far?
So far.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
Thank you. We have more work to do, and we will see you next time.